Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. I have two of your returning favorites, Brandy and Julie. How are you, girls?
Yay.
We're just,
She thinks I'm so
living life and stuff.
Oh my God. So let's talk. I've been promising the Juicy Scoopers I would talk about the Friends reunion. Finally got around to watching it, heard a lot about it. Mostly I heard from my friend Guy Branum, who wrote immediately, why does Lisa Kudrow look so much better than everybody else? Without me seeing it and knowing Lisa Kudrow, who was my teacher at the Groundlings, knowing what she looked like in Friends and assuming why she looks so good today, I immediately wrote back, she had her eyes a lid and a lower on her eyes done, and probably a really nice facelift. And I was right.
Because she had those bags.
She had the bags, but she did the right thing by not filling her face like Courtney Cox, or even a little bit. Jen Aniston even looked really good. She looked Drake even said she looked the most similar to when they flashed back with Jennifer Aniston. But Lisa Kudrow did too, because I'm
going to have to disagree with Drake. Lisa looked the most like.
Yeah, Lisa looked great. But she had the bags, and we didn't know how to fix bags back in 1995. We didn't know that you could just fill it or do the surgery and put your own fat in it. We didn't know. And so, anyway, she looked I think she looked the prettiest she's ever looked in her entire life.
I also want to say, I might probably would have said to Guy, because she always looked old. So now
caught up with herself. And
then now she's in her prime.
Got the old-fashioned facelift. Listen, old-fashioned facelift is where we're at.
Hashtag old-fashioned facelift
in the 2020s.
Yeah,
like, hey, get your filler, then let that shit die out. It's nice it worked out during the pandemic. Just let that fucking face sag. Put a mask on it. Now go and.
Yeah.
And walk out at a reunion where, oh my gosh. Okay, so let's talk about everybody else's look. So I just talked about all the girls. Jennifer Aniston still looks great. Courtney looked good. She's had some hit and misses with her face work.
Well, do you remember when her agent, I filled this into my head.
Yeah.
Someone went to her, and I assumed it was her agent because they always get that job, and said, you got to stop, because she was on a very dark path.
Right.
And headed nowhere good.
She was on the Meg Ryan path.
Yep. And her agent said, not only can I not get you work, I'm going to have to drop you. I think.
Right.
And so I'm not even willing to keep taking money from you for any reason, because I can't look at you.
So her face did settle. She still looked pretty. Still had a skinny, nice body that looked great up there.
I thought she looked pretty.
Yeah.
Ross, obviously, what's his real name? David Schwimmer. He looked the best of the guys.
He looked the most similar to before.
Yes. Joey, adorable, but turned into everybody's husband that's that age, including my own. Basically, you could be Peter's brother. Like, went gray hair, like had a little bit of a dad bod, still a super cute face.
Very hot.
But
that
just
suit.
like when you go to your high school reunion and all your friends have kept it together, all your girlfriends, and they've gotten some work done, and all the dads are like, they don't give a fuck. They're married. They gained some pounds. They let the hair go gray or the hair go bald. And you're like, holy shit, we're all trophy wives now.
The key is keeping the hair. Peter's got the hair rocking, so he's lucky. Matt LeBlanc.
But you go gray. Like, you can't.
But it's better than going bald and being dad bod and balding. Like, whoa, we're out of here then.
I don't know. I sometimes I think a bald head it's a great time to have a bald head. But
only if they're buff.
Exactly.
Not if they're.
You got to
Matt
be
LeBlanc
fit.
can't
You got
be
to be fit
either.
to have the bald head. Then it's like an added bonus. Then it's like a penis on the top of a good body.
Well, then you're just like, you have so much testosterone. All your hair. Two
penises?
Well, Julie, you've got 10. Show them to Heather. Show them to Heather right now. Show her your penises.
Ha 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 ha.
Okay, let's talk about okay. And then of course Matthew Perry looked horrible.
Oh my
and
God.
Matthew Perry, what a bitter, narcissistic, selfish, what a nightmare. And I have a story that attests to what a nightmare I think he was working on the show.
You mean back then? Yeah.
Because he's like, if I didn't get a joke, if I didn't get a laugh, I'd freak out. And then even this one time that they were having and by the way, everyone that ever went to a Friends taping, and I went to one because my niece actually was on an episode. Wow. It would go on till 1 a.m. other tapings on a Friday night, you get there at 5:30, you'd be out by 8:30. You could still go to like Bupa de Becco and get get a Cosmo and hopefully not be shot. Okay. But then it was like, oh my God, you're at Warner Brothers. And then it would be really hard to leave. Like it was hard. They didn't want you leaving. And they would do the scenes. Oh, like they were such perfectionists, which also pays off. Like, you know, the fact that they cared that much, loved it that much, they would be talking to each other, working on it, changing lines, doing a million different takes. But even when they were like wasting everybody's time fucking up, that one scene where Joey keeps fucking up, and then Matthew Perry goes, and then, of course, I had to get on it because I couldn't handle someone else getting a laugh. I'm like, so my friend got a part on the show where she was like a small co-star. Like, she was like an airplane, you know, like, ticket taker or whatever, talking to, and she got this big laugh. And she told me the story, and she was so happy. And she told me the story back when it happened. I'm like, how'd your friend's taping go? She goes, oh, I got this part. She had to read for it and everything, you know, to be like the American Airlines girl. And she gets this big laugh, and then it followed by Chandler's line, which didn't get as big of a laugh because she got the laugh. It was written for her to have a laugh, and she delivered it. And she said he went off, talked to the producers, came back, and they said, okay, now we want you to say this instead, which didn't get a laugh. And then that is what they used. And that is what they used. And so, you know, you had a similar story, but what show was it? I think you told the story on my show. Didn't you have one where they changed your line? Oh, what was it?
Recently on...
Oh,
should I not talk about
No,
it?
I mean, she probably...
Did this happen to you more than once?
I mean, that happens. I mean, I have guest starred on shows where they definitely changed the lines, and for sure. And I definitely did one recently where they had me do it in a different way and in a different way and a different way. But it wasn't because I don't know what their situation was, but it wasn't from the star. It wasn't from the star getting up and being like, Dyke is gonna have a line. I can't really have that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that. It was more like, can you try, you know, this, and then improv, and would get a laugh, and then it would be come back again. It was somebody over there. It was somebody in the village.
That they didn't want you to improv?
They wanted me to keep improving and doing those lines, but there was, and then they'd laugh, and then they would laugh, and then they would be like, can you just this time lose the word the? And then it was like that. But I've never experienced that. That was
Okay. Oh, you know what story is coming back to me right now?
Is it Curb?
No, it's Ellen.
Ellen.
Ellen had a sitcom.
Yeah.
Oh, this is some juicy scoop that's coming.
Okay, it's coming in. It's like a
coming in.
religious
It's coming in.
experience.
Ellen had her Ellen had her sitcom.
Yep.
And she would also get her facials done at this woman's salon that she worked at. Okay.
Called the
So
Pussy
she knew her. And would see her in the halls. She wasn't her client, but she'd see her in her halls and stuff. And anyway, my friend was also a working actress. So she went out for a part on the sitcom because she was good at these, you know, smaller parts, hitting it. And she got the part.
So wait, I don't get it. She gets her facials done at the same building?
Yes.
Okay.
But through a different facial. So like my friend had seen Ellen, said hello to Ellen. They had said hello, and then she would go to her friend. Okay. Then she gets hired by the regular casting director to have this small part where she was like an auctioneer or something on the Ellen sitcom, like the last season.
Because of course the baller facialist, also an actress.
Yeah.
Right.
So then, and she's, you know, supposed to have these lines and everything. And then she sees Ellen and she says, hi. And then she goes, oh, it's so great to be on the set today, you know. And she goes, how do I know you? And she's like, I work at the facialist place and you go to my friend Irma or whatever. And she's like, oh. And it was like very weird.
Ew.
And then all of a sudden, they rehearsed it. They'd done a table read, all the stuff. Now they're about to film it. And they say, we actually don't need you to be in hair and makeup anymore because now we're just going to hear your voice. And it has nothing to do with you. It just, the way the show is going, we're running late. We don't need to have you on camera. You're just going to be the voice of the auctioneer.
Oh my God.
So she's pretty heartbroken. It's the last season.
No,
Ellen has already
of
come out as a
course.
lesbian. Like, this is the season everyone's watching. Wow. So she's pretty heartbroken. And then about a week or two later, she gets a call saying, Ellen wants to come in and do a facial with you.
What?
And she said, no, thank you.
Wow.
What?
She's like, no.
I can't figure out what was Ellen's deal.
We don't really know. We don't know what that was. Now, could it have been? It had nothing to do with it. It was the producers. She later felt badly, thought, let me have that girl
do you want to
my
come back in?
facial.
Ellen's like, no. And it just kept going.
Yeah, but it could have been that. And she was doing everything perfectly fine, had no clue, just like she had no clue what was going on with her staff. But I think, no, there was something about, what are we doing hiring a facialist to be on my show? That's what I think it was. And then she was a little bit like, I don't like that you know me in this other life. And I'm just annoyed by this. And she might have said, how the fuck is a facialist working on my show? That person goes, oh, don't worry. We'll just have her be the voice. She won't be a part of it. It's like someone solved the problem for her. Then afterwards, I don't think she felt bad, but I think she was like, I'm going to humiliate this girl and be like, she said something. She's like, what are you doing here? Like, why you something to the effect that it was like, why is the facialist an actress on my show?
She was going to lose control of like the narrative of like who she is on the set, and then because who knows how she is in her private life when she's going getting her face. It's going to keep me up tonight. I will figure it out mentally.
Yes.
What if it was she wanted to, like, of course, I'm like, she's a lesbian. Did she want to get with her? Did she get with the other facialist? Was she mean to the other facialist? She didn't want that rumor to get out.
Yeah,
so now she's going to go get a facial with her and stop the, I don't know.
Lesbian facial rumors.
Because she,
and then like,
she got that weird look on her face, you said.
Yeah. And then like the receptionist at the salon place, which I don't want to say the name, but was just like, what do you mean you don't want to do Ellen? She's like, no. My friend was a little, older than I was and had always given me great advice. And so, yeah, she was like, fuck off.
Well, good for her.
Her instincts, you don't just think, you know what I mean? When the universe tells you, it's like, that came from her. You just know.
Okay, let's get back to the Friends. What did you think of the whole thing in general, how they did it and everything?
I thought it was like soups, corn and cream and cheese. And
I have to say, I was glad we had to watch it for you. I was like I watched it this morning and I was like, I'm so glad I had to watch this.
Because it was an assignment.
Yeah.
I felt like it was a little tedious for me too, to be honest. I was getting pretty bored. I was like...
But I was glad that I got to see it because I would not have watched it.
Yeah. And also, I never really watched Friends, the actual sitcom. But
Okay.
Of course, they're in the zeitgeist and we know who all they are.
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
I didn't watch it as religiously as like some of my friends did because I was actually doing the Groundlings Theater and whatever night it landed on for like 2 years, I was in class that night. 2 or 3 of the hot years of when they started to like bone each other were the years that I wasn't home to watch it and DVRs weren't invented and I was like, I missed it. My friend would tell me about it. And but of course, Lisa Kudrow was my teacher. I adored her. And she always just was such a normal person. She was like still married, had the one son, like is friends with everybody. And I just think, and I did feel like she was a little bit in her own place. Like when you watched it, they're like, oh, they were all equal. But I do feel like she kind of had her own thing going. She was a few years older than them, not a lot, but like 3 or 4 years older than them.
She seemed more grounded.
Yeah, she seemed more grounded. She seemed like the coolest one of the bunch as far as like being like not such a thirst bucket.
Yeah.
Like the level of thirst bucketry with these people.
Yeah.
And that's no, I mean, not to say I'm not or whatever, but like it was like their
at
their
the time
need
or now. Yeah.
When they were sitting, there were a few. First of all,
Joey also most delightful.
Yeah, and back then too, I was like, I should have watched this.
I also loved his show on Showtime. What was that show?
Episodes.
Episodes, brilliant. If you've never seen it, I'm telling you, watch it.
And that's
stream it. It's so funny.
He was still on the ball funny, I thought. Like any
Yes.
you didn't used to, I like part when she was like, you didn't used to knock on the door and he's like, yeah, only on the reunion. Just like little things. I was like, yeah, it's because he's still working in comedy.
Right. He seemed like a very, very fun person to be around.
Yes.
But they were sitting at You know when they played the game?
Yeah.
Then they were all sitting there.
Snore.
And which was snore. But then it was just like, that's where the thirst really bubbled up. Like it really boiled up. And the Jennifer Aniston and Courtney Cox and whatever, and they're all sitting there, and David Schwimmer's, okay, you guys, are you ready? And they're like, like, just, okay, here we go. These are the topics. You know, friends.
What year says? Yeah.
Hunting. You know, like it was like walking on the street. Oh my! Like it was like, all right, like just.
Yeah, Julie always loves
relax.
to say when like people like real like there's like thirsty people with thirst buckets or even actors like they'll just be like, hey, yeah, so you're talking before the scene like. Yeah, cool. No, I live in Burbank. Where do you live? And then the minute they say action, the person might not even have any lines. And the minute they say action, they're like, they can't even just sit normal. They're like, they get a thing they can't.
Where they're acting. They're always constantly on. So if even we're just having a scene where I'm just listening to you. Let's say you're just talking. Mm-hmm. And now I'm going to do listening acting?
Yeah.
Why don't I just listen rather than be like.
Yeah.
Even drinking. Let me drink this. I'm gonna do drink acting.
Well, I went out for a Friends episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say, were you jealous of your niece or no?
Oh no, I was so happy. She was like 4. No,
oh, okay.
I was thrilled.
I didn't know how she was. I mean, I would be jealous even if my facialist. I'd be like, go fuck yourself.
So
I don't know.
So we were at Groundlings. The main casting director of Friends was a teacher, like a teacher and a director of it. And if he was your director, you're like, oh fuck, you're gonna get at least one line on Friends. Like what he was, I made his job easy. Right here, I need a ticket taker, I need a waitress, whatever. So, but all the years I never got called. Finally, I got called to go out for some part. And it was like a last minute thing. Get to Warner Brothers, like they'll tell you right then because you got to get in rehearsal now to do the show on Friday. And I went, and it went really well. And they're like, okay, Susie, Mary, and Jenny, you guys can go. Heather and Katie, can you guys stay? And I'm like, oh my God, it's between me and Katie. Okay, this is like, oh my God, I'm dying. I don't know what the part was. And they're like, come back out. And they're like, okay, so Katie, but just about to tell Katie she's to go, which means I got the part, right? Okay, so here comes the girl that was late.
Oh
no!
The last chick. Hi, best friends with the casting person, and like, I'm so sorry I'm late. That's okay, girl. Get out of here. Get out of here. Go in. Hear the laughter through the door. And then, so Heather, do you have validation? They're always obsessed. They want to make sure that you didn't get the part. They want to make sure this didn't cost you $4. Okay. Yeah, it's on a lot. I don't think I need validation. Yeah. Fine. And so I'm like, oh, there's no chance that girl's gonna like break her leg like between now and 2:00, right? Okay. So anyway, but yeah, but I loved hearing about how the show came about and how they like picked everybody and why it was so important. So then when I'm looking up to get a photo, you know, just to kind of have you guys be able to look at this, I said, the first thing that came up was Friends reunion director addresses lack of diversity in the special, saying the cast is the cast. So of course, you know, there was when it was happening, people were like, why are there no people of color on this show?
In the coffee shop in New York at all.
Yeah.
There's no people of color in New York City at all.
Right, exactly.
I mean, even back then, people were like, okay.
So then, of course, they get Aisha Tyler to be Ross's girlfriend at one point. And, you know, but he said, what they said kind of was good was, look, there was no conscious decision. We saw people of every race, religion, and color. These were the 6 people we cast. Bright went on to say that he doesn't have any regrets about the way Friends turned out, which ended in May 2004. I would be insane not to hire those 6 actors. What can I say? I wish Lisa was black. I loved the cast. Bright told the outlet, I love the show. I love the experience.
And I love all my money. Yeah. So I don't regret $1 of it.
I'm a little bit exhausted. Yeah. Like, it is what it is. If 20 billion people have watched it, it worked. Okay? Yeah. It worked. And
at least there were women on it.
Yeah.
I mean, not for nothing.
Only one girl on that
literally.
Cast.
I mean,
that
it's like
cast, Seinfeld.
I mean, that's right. That's right. And I'm sure there was not one woman writer.
Like, these things work for a reason. Like, they work because it's not just acting; it is chemistry. I mean, even when I did, this is a braggy day, but when I did Frasier, it was on this famous set, the whatever the number of Paramount. It's the stage where Cheers was, where I want to say even like I Love Lucy. So if you get on this is the lucky set. This, you know, you're gonna have 12 years of a show. So we're on the lucky set, but it's old and there's not big dressing rooms or anything. I didn't know that. So I go and we're filming all week till you tape that day, and I'm like in this room that's about this size with the, you know, with Kelsey, the brother, the, you know, the two girls, Roz and the other girl, and the old man and everything. They're talking about their weekends, their husbands, like what they're doing. Oh, could you give me that number of the caterer? And they're all just sitting like this, and I'm just sitting with them.
Yep.
And I'm like, how is it these big stars don't have their own dressing rooms? And then I'm like, no, that's why the show's a hit.
Right.
Yeah. Because they actually like each other. They're actually working together. They see each other on weekends. They talk to each other. All these shows now, you know, get in your trailer and, you know, be separate and have your own thing. And I need to have this. And I always remember the story is that Joey went to all of them and said they were in negotiations.
I always thought it was Ross.
No, it was Joey.
Okay.
Matt LeBlanc. And he said, this is the story, but come in everybody. And like, we're going to, we got to negotiate all together and we'll make more this way. It also kept them together.
Yeah.
You'd be resentful.
Yep.
How resentful you'd be if you folded because you weren't Jennifer Aniston, who was getting movies every summer. So you're like, okay, I guess I better just take the 100,000 per episode, even though she's getting $1 million, but I don't want to be kicked off. And like all that goes on by doing it this way and really getting what they deserve. Yeah. They totally deserve what they got. Look how big the show is and how long it went. Yep. And these people are like, yeah, we better take it down because we might be Matthew Perry. We might be Jennifer Aniston, but we also might be Matthew Perry. So we better take our money while we can take it.
That's right.
And Joey knew because he was like, Jennifer Aniston's with Brad Pitt. I'm going to get much more if she comes in and says it has to be favored nations or whatever.
Yeah.
And I loved that. That's what I really, and I knew this anyway just over the years. That they said, I knew that the girls ate together every single day, no matter what. They never got, like, because the minute one thing comes between you and you let some awkwardness put you in separate rooms, you'll never get it back. And they just, no matter what went on, they just faced it every day and they just ate lunch every single day.
And they had the turkey.
Yeah.
She had a turkey chopped salad every day. And no, it's true because then it's like if two people go off and start talking shit, which I've been on shows like that. And it is like it's like a rotten piece of fruit. Yeah. It is like a little cancer, and it's just so true.
You can kind of tell, too, sometimes. I know I was on a set once where I was like, this is toxic. Yeah. Everyone here's toxic.
Yeah.
Everyone here's toxic. Like, I don't...
Don't they say that they fight on This Is Us? Like Mandy Moore and...
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, they like all the blind items will say Mandy Moore hates the guy that's her husband, which I don't watch that, but I couldn't now because that'd be so in my mind. And then she has like feuds with people on the set. And I mean, I love Mandy Moore, so I stand with Mandy, but regardless. But it's just weird. It's just kind of like, they're, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire. It's like people aren't just making that up for fun.
And there were no stories about them like this.
Well, Matthew Perry's
the
lucky
was
then.
That they all had lunch. Like there was it.
Yeah.
He's lucky that they like to be so credit grabby and insecure and annoying like that. That like and because there was a scene in there where he was
I think they treat him like the fucked up brother.
Right.
Even
then, and I think they do now because you could just see Jennifer Aniston being like. To like, you know, Courtney and Lisa, like, oh God, you guys. I walked into Spago's last night and Matthew was there and God, he does not look good. He does not look good. I gave him a big hug and I told him he looked great, even though he didn't. And God, should we have a little dinner party? Should we see what he's up to? I spilled vodka on his breath, and I go, "Oh, Maddie,
pills.
What are you doing?" Like I just feel like it's like a genuine love. And then what about this? Is my other part about him being such a thirsty, like annoying narcissist, like worry about this ego. Kind of like my dad had a little bit of this, where he'd be like. And then your mom's talking, and here I am like a potted plant wilting, like she's holding the. I'm like, oh, shut up! Like you're a Marine. Speak up, then, dick. Like, so he goes, and I said, what would your life be like? The character's life at the end, if this was still on, and And Courtney goes, oh, well, I think that, even if the kids were grown up, because they left with twins, she and Matthew Perry's character, even if our kids were grown up, I think Monica would still be the type A, still running the bake sale at the school. That's as far as she gets. And he goes, oh, am I even here? Am I even here?
Exactly.
In the made-up future of your fake married life. I'm like, what? Like, I just feel like they had to cater to his thing. And they
just thought it was because he was fucked up. They're like, oh, he's just.
And they were such mature, like they were such normal, healthy adults, and they were so confident in their own comedy that they let him have the big laughs. They're like, you can have it. You can have that line.
There was a thing where he was with in the chairs with what's his name?
Yes, Matt LeBlanc.
With Matt LeBlanc and
Matthew Perry. They're horrible in those chairs.
Yeah, so they're
everybody. Listen, we have two of those chairs. They're about the most unflattering chairs on earth. They look classy when you fold them up.
They're super comfortable.
And then you lean back, and I'm like, when did our living room turn into a hospital room?
I mean,
like, it is
so
the worst, but it's so comfortable.
So comfortable.
Well, what were you saying? He said, so they're laying there?
So they're sitting there now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, can you believe that we did this? Blah, blah.
Yeah.
And Matthew Perry's like, it worked. And then Matt LeBlanc was like, yeah, remember when you said this was going to be stupid? And then it worked?
He followed him with the script and was like, can you believe how dumb this is? And then Matt LeBlanc was like, no, we can just have fun with it. Or
right.
we just...
Yeah, we're going to have fun. And then we had fun, didn't we? And he was like, yeah. It's like that. It's just like, how draining. I feel like they all... how draining. God.
Yeah, he was draining, and I feel like they all placated to him, and they
knew he was fucked up.
They all just went along with it, like just okay.
He had to be sweet too, because there would be no way for anyone to put up with that unless he was like a little sweet.
Yeah.
Right after they filmed this, his fiance and he broke up.
Yeah, I told you.
So again, Jen is calling Courtney and Lisa. Oh God, you guys, I liked her. I wanted it to work out. Oh God, what are we gonna do about Maddie? What are we gonna
I think probably
I don't even know if she calls him Maddie.
That works though. That
I can see it. Yeah.
Did he look like Charlie Sheen and sound like him, or was it
yes,
just me?
He did. I thought the bottom row of his teeth were gonna pop out.
At one point, he laughed,
you know what I mean?
He laughed, and I heard a very deep, not just cigarette smoke. What would be, in my opinion, a thick crack smoke residue on the lungs.
No judge, no, with love, with all understanding.
He does not look good.
No,
and he needs to go and get his jawline rebuilt.
Yes,
and get a facelift. And
it's a really it's a testament to bone
or
structure.
Just call it a day. But I don't know. I mean, I remember the show he got after this, which was the most annoying show ever. And it was called something. It was like a parody of a Saturday Night Live show, and Kristen Chenoweth.
Oh.
No, it was a girl. Okay, it was based on Kristen Chenoweth because she dated some head guy at SNL, who then wrote this story about SNL. And Matthew Perry was the writer of like the SNL show, and it was so annoying. It was like running around like West Wing, but it was supposed to be like a Saturday Night Live place.
Which ultimately became 30 Rock.
Yeah,
but not.
But it was dark. It was like, but it was a dramatic.
I don't remember that.
It was a sketch comedy show.
Oh.
So, like, somebody's like, it was.
Like, why don't my jokes get on there, man?
Yeah, and then like,
why can't my jokes get on there?
Yeah, and then someone's brought. Yes, exactly. A lot of that. He was he played a drug addict.
Of course.
And he's Jewish, and he's dating this Kristen Chenoweth type who's on the show, who's like Christian and lovely, but dating a Jew and on an edgy show.
Ooh.
And then it was just anyway. It was just so weird. No one knows what
Remember
we're talking
that.
about. Let's move on. Okay, let me talk about Real Housewives of New York real quick.
Ooh, yes. Heather.
So this is taking place in one of the most annoying times.
Is she back?
That's not me.
Okay.
That's just Ramona's friend.
No, I thought that was Heather Holla.
That is Heather Holla.
Okay.
But I just think it's always so weird when they let them go and then they come back like 2 seasons later and then they say Heather, Ramona's friend.
May I let you know, that's going to be around 7 seasons later. Because we haven't watched that in years, and we watched it when Holla was on, because we were like, take your Spanx and kick rocks, homie, because nobody's feeling it. Nobody's feeling it. And now she's back as Ramona's friend.
She's back as Ramona's friend, and this is taking place in late October of 2020, one of the darkest times in all of our lives.
Oh my God.
And so it is a lot of, the elections around the corner. People are COVID policing each other, yet they're filming. And now they have a new cast member who is Black named Ebony. And so, well, it, of course, becomes a topic. They get in an argument about something about talking about sex all the time. Ramona's like, I don't like that this new girl, Leah, who I've got right here, she dresses horribly. I don't know if that's 3 pairs of pants or 1 pair of pants that just has 3 different buttons going up. It was the weirdest outfit. She does really weird outfits. And she is become the most annoying person on the cast ever. She's completely hypocritical. She acts like she's super liberal and all this and that. And Ebony is her best friend. Yet this thing came out where she caught up with Michael Che, who is the head writer of SNL, who's a good-looking Black guy. He's very funny. He's on Weekend Update. They hooked up on a dating site. And
that's definitely Raya.
Yeah, Raya. They hooked up on a dating site. And then, like 3 years ago when they hooked up, or talked, they never got together in person, talked, she had a podcast that no one listened to. And because no one knew who she was on the show yet. And she talked about, oh my God, and then this D-list celebrity, like, is calling me fat and all this other stuff. And I'm like, whatever, fuck you, dude. Okay, so the story then comes out, and he sees it, and he's like, yeah, I talked to that girl 3 years ago, and I have the texts or the exchanges where she's like, are we gonna like get together or what? Like, she gets really weird and stuff. And then he goes, yeah, I'm gonna opt out of this. Like, I'm not interested. And then she's like, whatever, dude. Like, acts like it's like she's just angry. So I'm like, and then meanwhile, she talks all about like, I'm a feminist and I can talk about vaginas, and if a guy doesn't eat my ass, he's out of here. And then yet she's saying things like, and if his, penis is not large enough, if I say send me a dick pic right away, otherwise I don't want to see you.
Oh, that's so dumb. I hate when they say that.
And I think that's so gross because I'm like, okay, let's just talk about this for a minute. You think that's being sex positive? You're being a bitch. Like, what if someone said to your daughter, yeah, send me a nude and let me see the inside of your vagina, otherwise I'm not coming over to take you out for Chinese food. Yeah. It's the same thing. Like,
send me a titty shot now. I'm not going less than a C cup.
Yeah, so like, is a man only worth how big his penis is? Like,
it's ridiculous.
No, he's a full person in there.
I know.
There's a full person in there with feelings and emotions, Peter. I think it's horrible.
I mean, maybe
how dare they be objectified?
Maybe I'm a boy mom. Like, I don't like this shit.
I don't like.
No, I'm like, it's not. It's just not right.
Do you think it's true?
Such a hypocrite.
Do you think she really does that?
Yeah.
Well, I
absolutely do. I think she's being honest, but I don't think that's something you should want to reveal to a girl. It doesn't make you cool.
I've never done dating sites, but I hate when they even say, oh, under 5'11" need not apply and stuff like that. I'm just like, I just think that's all gross.
Yeah.
Like,
right, and usually it's a girl that's like 5'4". You're like, all right, small. Stop trying to steal our talls. Yeah. Okay?
It's not it's certainly not someone who's tall who's like doesn't want it's always some girl that just wants to.
I need a man who's 6'2" with large arms who's going to hold me and make me feel like a small baby in a cloud. If you are not 6'5" and don't have an 8.5-inch penis, then with fringe, kick rocks, sir. I'm worth more than that. I'm a feminist and I love my body, myself. I consent or I don't consent. Period. Send.
Yeah, I screw anybody I want. Yet men suck. All right. Yeah. Why are you screwing so many of them if they're actually so horrible?
Yeah, I don't understand.
I can tell from this photo that she is unstable and has severe problems.
So she did write a whole thing about how she did have some mental issues. And at one point, Ramona brought it up, like maybe she's like this because she has some mental issues. Then they gets all pissed at Ramona in past episodes, and Ramona's like, okay, I'm sorry, all right, I really shouldn't have spoke about your mental issues. I actually met a lot of people that like have to take a little Lexapro or like a little Xanax or whatever, and I even said take a Xanax to other people, and I wanted to say I have the biggest heart of anybody I know. That's why I let my help leave on Sundays, and that is why. So she
let's help leave on Sundays. Oh,
so
Miss
anyway.
Ramona.
She,
I don't know, Heather, this is like crack to crack addicts because we don't watch it anymore. And we're like, keep talking as Ramona.
Yeah. Anyway, so she's a nightmare. They're getting in a fight. And then Ebony gets in a fight with Luann. And they're miscommunicating. And Luann goes, why are you yelling? You're a very angry woman. So then Ebony goes back to Leah, and she goes, Lou just called me an angry black woman.
Oy.
Well, she didn't. She called you an angry woman. But then Heather, to the rescue.
Here we go. Here we go.
Oh,
Because
no.
she goes, let me explain. Because I have spent a lot of time in black families' homes.
Nope.
Just listen. Black family homes. And it's just been a beautiful experience. And Ebony goes, I'd like to hear a little bit more about when you were in these black families' homes. Because I was thinking it too. I was like, was she teaching? Was she homeschooling kids? Did she live in a neighborhood? Like, what was it? She goes, well, I worked for Puffy and Beyonce.
Yeah, I mean, I knew the answer. Holla. She never stopped talking about how she worked for Puffy when she was on 14 years ago on Housewives, before she was just Ramona's friend.
God, I mean,
Before she started her own company, which is
Yummy
like
Tummy.
Spanx. Yeah, right.
Yummy
Thank God
Tummy.
we've got that.
So then she said that, and then she even goes, and I think she said this, she goes, and then Ebony goes, well, that's not really black. And she goes, I know it's like fake black. And I was like, what are you saying? Like, because they're wealthy and successful? Like, everyone was just stepping in shit. Everyone was just stepping in a political nightmare,
Landmine.
possible cancellation of shit. And nobody knew where to go. And meanwhile, the producers are like, we're going to ruin all their lives for the greatest season ever. And I was like, oh my God, this is just. So then she's like, yeah, so, and people that worked hard. And so then she leaves, and we're like, okay. Then they have a sit down. Heather, Ramona's friend, does a sit down with everybody as the person that is a white woman who has worked with fake black people, according to her, or black people. She does pretty good way in just explaining to the older white women, like, hey, now is our time to sit back and and not debate any of this stuff. This is why calling a black woman angry is bad. And, so I know you didn't intend it, but now you know, so just be sensitive of it. And there you go.
You're just like a bootleg interventionist
Yeah,
coming in.
so then they all go, okay, and they go to bed. And then Heather goes back into the room to say goodnight to Leah and Ebony. And Ebony goes, thanks a lot. That was helpful, the way you facilitated this, whatever. And she goes, and you, by the way, are very articulate.
Wait, but I was just
Okay, so if there's someone listening that doesn't get that is from way back when Sidney Poitier was the only black man at the Oscars, and people would be like, oh, he's so articulate. He's so articulate. And, meaning oh, I'm so surprised that.
it's so condescending and gross.
So she didn't know that after working with Puffy. But even Ebony's like, whatever, that's a micro-racial aggression, but let's give her, Ebony's just like, I'm just ready to go to bed.
Is Ebony friends with this weird Leah?
I think they probably met through producers, but someone always has to act like, and my friend Ebony's coming.
So they have to be stuck together because they're both new too?
New and younger.
Okay.
And they're both late 30s. And so then, Ebony's really likable and everything, but with Ebony's life, listen, she was in beauty pageants. She was really smart. So she went to school at 16. She went to law school. She's stunningly beautiful. So she is a woman of color, but I would like to say there is a pretty privilege that no one's talking about. When you're a pretty person, whether you're J-Lo and you're Latina, or Ebony and you're black, or Pamela Anderson and you're white, you're going to have a different experience than the average person, no matter what their color they are, because you are very attractive, and not only are you attractive and men die for you, but you're able to have an incredible career sometimes because your looks get you through the door.
And
then
there's a money privilege too. That comes with having money, where, you know what I mean? If you come from, no matter what color you are, if you come from a family of money, you're going to have more advantages than someone, no matter what color they are, who doesn't come from money. That's just, money brings an advantage to everyone. Not that there's not disadvantages to every.
Right. And just if you're from a family of lawyers that all went to law school, no matter what color you are, they're going to know how to help you sign up for the LSATs and everything. If you're somebody that nobody's ever, a lawyer, never done the LSATs, and don't know anyone at law school, can't get one letter of recommendation, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
So it's just people that are grips, they're all grandfathered in.
All of them.
Fire
Nepotism.
department. Not as much in the fire department, but in the old days, the fire department was a lot of okay, my nephew, and you get into these great careers because, anyway. So as someone that was the only white person on many black shows and working with the Wayans brothers, holla Heather, I will say
maybe it's a Heather
it was
thing.
the greatest experience of my life. Most of the time I was not only the only white person, I was the only white girl surrounded by the best looking men on earth, the Wayans brothers, along with their nephews, along with a couple adorable babies running around, along with the gorgeous wife or girlfriend that was a delight, that was like making me some like spaghetti squash for the first time because they're all like vegan and vegetarian. So, you know, but yeah, my experience was just like, we love talking about our differences. They wanted to hear. They were like, wait, you used to watch Good Times? I'm like, I loved Good Times. And they're like, what did you think of it? And I go, I was jealous that their friends lived so close to them.
Yes.
I had no idea what it was. I didn't know that they were living in, you know, quote unquote projects, and that they were like a working class black family that lived in these apartments. I thought like it was fun and the boys sleep in the living room, and like I just had no, and so like they were like, they wanted to hear that. Like that's a different perspective and it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Well,
And
that's
I
the
feel
only-
like everyone's scared to talk now.
Yeah.
Everyone is scared to talk. People think if you bring up differences or you talk about differences, you're being like hateful or ignorant or whatever. It's like the only way to learn is to learn. You only know when you know about anything.
Yeah.
I think. And
Is New York Housewives good this season?
Some people are saying like, I didn't want to watch a political thing, but I'm like, look, it's a reality show, and like I said, they're filming this in like the shitty, like people stopped being friends, people left Facebook, like shit was going down. And now
You know what we were
like,
doing in October 2020? We were all together. We were in Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Right. Probably like the same
Right.
week as this, because we were with like Halloween.
And the three of us were hanging out together because we were all white. No, just kidding.
Because pretty privilege, okay?
Because we're all pretty, and we're like pretty people only on this show.
it was like free drinks all night, remember?
Yeah, but no, yeah. So I think it's interesting, but I think for people, it's just like COVID. Like they don't want to watch COVID stuff anymore. And now that, you know, most places are living life, except for here, until Gavin says so, living life like it's, you know, over, and they're going to concerts and they're not wearing masks, or no one's like really caring if you wear a mask or not. I just think it's becoming a distant memory, and it's not one we want to regurgitate.
Right.
But in defense of the show, that's what the feelings were, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
It was a heady time.
I think it's okay. But the thing is, they don't have husbands to lie and say that husband's having an affair or is gay like other franchises. They don't, and they're not screwing each other's boyfriends like they have in past. So all they have is to just say, you said the word help, you said the word articulate, and you said the word angry. Hope someone still comes to your cabaret show, Lou.
Yeah.
Like, that's all that we can really do.
And they've also already done alcoholism, caught you with drugs. Like, you know what I mean? They've already done that gamut of, like, catching them all.
Anal sex in bushes.
Right.
All of it.
God,
You know
those
what I
were
mean?
the days.
Those were the days.
The pirate.
Having sex with a pirate. All of it.
Oh, those were...
It was the
Right.
best.
Well,
and
I
that
mean-
was...
Well, that's
not
another
really.
Cool. Yeah,
not really. Not really.
Apparently, Heather Holla on her podcast had brought up that trip of sex with the pirates and be cool. Don't be all uncool.
Amazing.
And brought up all that and insinuated there were other drugs. And then that is why
Obviously.
Leah was like, she's an asshole, Heather Holla. And Heather's like, no, I'm not. I've worked in Beyonce's home. I'm a people of the world. I'm salt of the earth. And P. Diddy, but Leah and Heather hate each other, and so I think next week Heather leaves and is no longer Ramona's friend.
Yeah. Go back to your podcast.
Oh, and I thought this was interesting. So last night I was thinking about it, and this is Kathy Griffin, a very brilliant comedian. She had like 20 specials. I think she did 10 on Bravo every year.
I saw this one.
And she called
Like in
this,
person.
This was 2006, and she called it Kathy Griffin, Strong Black Woman. And Bravo was like, holla!
Yeah.
Let's put it on our network. But that was 15 years ago. And I know
God.
Kathy Griffin, and
crazy.
she probably just was like, oh, this is just something I hear all the time. It's something, I don't know why she chose it. It had nothing to do with her pretending to be black or anything.
It wasn't in the show, I remember.
It wasn't anything about
Yeah.
that. She just picked like funny, weird names.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, I wonder how people would feel about that today. So I put it on Twitter, and then I took it down because I'm a pussy. Okay, here we go.
And she also did My Gays, which people started to object
Right.
to. Like, my gays,
Oh,
you know.
yeah.
Right.
I don't really like that either.
No.
I think that's rude, and I think it's like, you're not so special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of
the
gay men particularly don't like it. Like I'm not your child. I'm not your, you know what I mean? It's because it's generally my gaze I think is more of like my gay guys, right? Wouldn't you say? Mm-hmm. And we've had friends who are like
instantly as the queen instead of
yes,
just being my friend. Right. My friend Jeff and Joe are coming over. It's like my gays, yes, queen, yes,
right, all that.
It's like, why don't you just all three just be friends?
Right.
Like, why do we have to have like a hierarchy of like who's,
Right.
But that's what happens. And you know what happens is when women think that she's got my gays or she's got her gay best friend, and then she finds out that guy has about 7 other relationships, even tighter with even more fabulous straight women than you.
Right.
And he's going around telling everyone this fag hag's coming over here.
Yeah.
And we're walking around, okay, fucking fruit fly on me, and it's fine, we have fun, whatever, but she is such a fag hag. Like that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
For sure talking shit about her.
Like talking shit. It's like, she couldn't get a date.
I remember when Sonja said that. I'm a gay icon. She called herself that.
Who did?
Who did?
Sonja. On one of the shows.
Well, from Sonja can say anything.
Yeah.
I mean, that you're like.
Somehow that works.
And you are.
Because Sonja, I love Sonja because she is silly, she is funny, but throughout all the years, she's never done something manipulative or conniving or like truly hurtful to hurt another cast member. And I think that's why she is on this level that she's just like beloved. And we don't care if she gets sloppy drunk, and we don't care.
We love that.
Because
she forgot her underwear that time.
Yeah.
When she forgot her underwear and her tooth came out, I swear that was the same episode. And I was like, thank you, God, that she exists. She's the best.
She's the best.
But there's so many housewives that do like calculating behind the scenes, kind of dirty shit. And she just doesn't, because she's pretty self-absorbed and she likes to drink and she doesn't want to like hurt people's feelings. Like, so I think that's why she is so liked,
Really protective of her daughter too. I think that probably has to do with maybe why because I always get fascid by.
I always think it's weird that she calls her daughter the kid.
And she's
got the kid going to school. Listen, Ramona Wells Fargo doesn't pay for the kids' college. Morgan Stanley does.
That's right. It's great that was with that Morgan. I mean, JP Morgan. That is like Illuminati.
He went to the college graduation.
He did?
Yes, he's 91 years old.
That's Illuminati money right there. That is, you shot Jewish lasers to change the weather, like the Rockefellers.
Yes.
Like, I get blown away. If you look at like
JP
the
Morgan?
6 richest families.
Well, the reason she has so much regret is that she should. The story is that he wasn't feeling great, or he was ill or something. At that time, he was like, I don't know, 70. And because it's been like 20, maybe he was even older. Maybe he was like 74. And she was like a hot, 39 or 40. And
she probably was really pretty.
Yeah.
Still.
And she went to St. Bart's and she left him at home. And her good friend went over and brought him some chicken soup. And when she came back, he was like, we're done. And he married the best friend. And he's been with the best friend now for like 15 years.
Oh my gosh, who is that? Do we know the best friend? I feel like
you could look it up to see who his wife is, but that is the story.
I never knew
that. And that, so she, yes, did she leave? But like, it wasn't like she fell in love with someone else.
She just went off and was like, I'm spending the money.
That's the thing, girls. You think, I'm going to lower my standards. I don't want to marry this old, unattractive thing. And I'm always going to be younger and hotter than him for the rest of his life. And I've got so much money. And we've got 4 nurses to take care of his hemorrhoid problem. And my girlfriends are celebrating their 40th birthdays in St. Bart's. I'm going to go.
Yeah.
And then come home. And now it's like, oh my God, I have to sell this toaster.
Yeah. The heat's always turned off. She's in that brownstone.
I think she's had a fun time these last 15 years, but in the end, I think she's like, I shouldn't have gone on that trip.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But maybe not, hopefully not. Okay, Armie Hammer, not a delight. He has checked into a treatment program. And so basically he escaped all the stuff that was going down. He dropped out of the Jennifer Lopez movie. He dropped out of a series that they just replaced with someone. They took that movie, The Crisis, which looked really juicy, nowhere to be found. I actually was looking forward to it. He was in this movie. It was about like almost like an FBI pharmaceutical, like melodramatic, like juicy scripted movie, like that, that would have had all the elements, and he's in it. they just were like, it just disappeared. Okay. And then, so he's in the Cayman Islands where his dad, Michael and the second wife is there. And also Elizabeth and the kids are there, his wife. And they are seen in an emotional embrace at the airport at Cayman Islands. And he leaves and he's now in a rehab in Florida for drug addiction. The ex-girlfriends that have talked about all the S&M stuff that they put through, talk about how many drugs and stuff he's done in this Variety article.
They do?
Yes, they say that he's done. Oh my God, that he's one. They're like he's 6'5" and he can do anything. He can drink 3 things of vodka, 5 joints, 5 cheeseburgers and not feel sick. Then get on a motorbike ride and go through the desert. Then have like a little sip of water and then drive 18 hours. Like the way it's written is like he can do a lot of drugs and like stuff within the family throughout history. So I don't know if anything happened with him, but it,
I'm going to go back and listen, 'cause I love that.
witnessed anything or what. But his mom, so his dad married this mom who was like a super Christian who came from like one of those big Christian, like wealthy families. And she wrote a letter to the Vanity Fair who'd written a big expose on the family, which you can look up to get a little bit what I'm talking about. And she says, this is Drew, the mother of Armie. And she's writing to Vanity Fair, it doesn't seem like you want to find the good that God has done in our family. Michael Misty, that's Michael's wife after Drew, and I are still very good friends and share our wonderful sons and grandchildren. We love and protect each other, so it is very hurtful the negative way you portrayed my former husband being a ne'er-do-well when he is a Columbia MBA graduate who has invested the foundation very wisely so he can make a bigger difference in the world. Also, watch that Netflix doc about the art that she was involved in. Not to mention the way you printed alleged false accusations against my son, my baby Armie. No, I added the part. Every family has something, just beating women. But what I know is these Jewish hammer men you tore apart in your article have all come to know Jesus as their Messiah. I believe that is why I was placed in that family. I am asking for mercy and grace, as Jesus gives all of us, and asking you to please stop degrading my family.
Do you think she'd still like them if they hadn't found Jesus and they'd stay dirty Jewish?
I don't know, but well, what was it?
These Jewish hammer men.
I would make sure every night to crucify every one of them in the basement in a closet. So I don't know what you're talking about because I love my son. I love my husband, who I would take a hammer. I would go, Armie, hammer, Armie, hammer. I would do all of it. I'm a Christian woman. I'm a Christian woman. I'm a Christian woman. I would take nails.
Yeah.
That's what I'm imagining. I would take nails and I would stick the tongue out. I mean, this woman.
Was she the mom of Armie or the next wife?
No, she's the mom of Armie and the brother. And
so who was
and they all lived on the Cayman. That's his wife. She finally divorced Michael's ass, Armie's dad, and then he met some woman, and she says named Misty, and she says we're friendly.
I see,
but I think Misty was like a masseuse at like a local resort,
of course,
and she's just probably like happy to be done with Michael. Right. She's like, I've got my kids, I've got my grandkids. Keep the money rolling, and just leave me the fuck alone and be with Misty. While I go pray to Jesus. So this where they were saying, listen, a woman who dated the actor Armie last summer recalls him taking half a tab of acid to play golf. And then the same day, about 8 beers and 4 martinis, driving 17 hours across country after getting into a fight with her. Another person who knows Hammer from Lone Ranger recalls the actor kept a stockpile of joints in his trailer, allegedly asked an assistant to procure mushrooms, and soaked pain medication with alcohol in his trailer after taking drugs during the production of a Disney movie. His crew member recalls Hammer hopping into his souped-up Mercedes to drive around New Mexico. He liked to get hammered on whatever drug was around and go driving incredibly fast through the city, like 140 miles an hour down a residential street, which is terrifying. If he's too high to move, that's about the only time he won't move.
I've seen him a ton of time at parties, and he never seemed. He must be a machine.
That's what they said.
He's not somebody that seems high or drunk or anything.
He'd get drunk, straight bourbon, shoot guns, get on a dirt bike with no helmet. Ooh. And tear ass through the desert. He didn't have a helmet, but he did have a COVID mask at everyone. As he was going 140 miles an hour, he had his mask in his car. So
maybe he's like those people who don't feel pain. It's like he's got something in his body where he can, even though he's big or whatever, you know what I mean?
Or he can't feel pleasure, and he's trying anything he can. I mean,
but he never gets sick.
Do you think?
Yeah.
So There is a civil case, and the LAPD is looking into it as well, from this woman, Effie, who had a relationship with him in which she has got Gloria Allred and did a press conference and said the detailed things that he did. However, right after that, his people, this light just lit up, his people produced texts from Effie to him where, you know, they're talking sexually and it seems like she likes some of this
like
stuff.
it was consensual.
Yes, but, you know, maybe sometimes it was, but in these situations it weren't. And there's so many other girls that absolutely confer a similar experience with this woman, Effie.
Yeah.
But I don't know what's going on legally with that, but he's in the rehab. He's been there for 9 days. Who knows how long he'll stay. Do you think he will ever do a comeback in Hollywood? Prediction here and now.
Can I just ask, who said that he can't sit with him alone with himself? Was that from the rehab?
No, that's like a girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I personally think he'll make a comeback.
And?
Agreed. There's no way, unless he's convicted of full rape.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's going to care.
I think he could come back and be like Robert Downey Jr. Not that
Yeah.
Robert, you know, the thing with these girls is that it was consent, and it was like they like to say like coerced consent.
Right.
But I think they were all willing to do this if they were the only girl, which is
Right.
supposed to be when you have a BDSM type of relationship. Like we know this from 50 Shades of Grey. You're supposed to sign a contract.
So sign a contract and
Yeah.
then
And you're
wear
supposed to be
what
the
he
only
tells
one.
you what
Yeah.
to wear.
Yeah.
But that girl Effie,
Wait for the helicopter to pick you
Right.
up. Yeah.
But that girl Effie also said some of them say it's like where it starts. Maybe it's like S&M-y, but then he's slamming your head into a wall.
Right.
So that's where you're getting into. Now that's where it's like, is
Yeah.
that true or is that not true? And that's where I'm like,
Oh, I do think that's true.
how do
Yeah.
you know? And this is where, then in the court of law, this is where I think he will not be convicted at all. Those girls are, whether that's true, if that's true and they consented a little,
It's just a hard thing to prove.
It's a hard thing to prove. No one can prove it. You've already consented to a little bit, and then you'd have to prove that it's like did violence.
And
That
why-
you
They're going
said
to get
no
money
to.
though, because that's what Gloria Allred
and wanted to
specializes in.
physically hurt you. Yeah.
Right. And because with sex stuff, as we
Yeah.
learned recently, that once you say yes to anything, you're gonna, if you get raped, that's too bad for you.
We're going to watch the Mike Tyson, and the second episode's all about like the rape thing. Are you guys going to watch the Mike Tyson?
Oh, no, but I will.
Yeah, it's like 4. I mean, we already had DVR'd it, but we like came across
wait.
it like
Can't
the
wait.
beauty pageant, and it is good.
Remember what I found was really interesting about Mike Tyson was when he was only 19 and Robin Givens, who was this gorgeous actress, and she was about 27, they fall in love and are getting married. And they're like, no, she and her mother like targeted him and I was like, well, why would she, she's wealthy. She's like on a TV show. I didn't realize that like TV actress sitcom money of Robin Givens is nothing to what Mike Tyson has. And somebody's like, yeah, I have a nice home. I, can buy some shoes. But like Mike Tyson money, when he's every month or whatever, how often he's doing these huge.
Yeah, he was one of the richest.
Yeah, he was
the
like
richest
the richest
guys
guy
were
in the
Michael
world.
Jackson, Michael
'Cause it didn't
Jordan,
make no
and
Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Because I remember my mom's like, what is this beautiful girl? Robin Givens is stunning. She's educated. Why is she with this, because he didn't have any education. He was really poor. The only way out was doing this. But also, to me, he was like 19 and 26.
Yeah.
And the woman being 26, that is weird. That
And
was
his mom,
weird.
and her mom was smart because he had a huge weakness. I mean, he's there like in the middle of a beauty pageant, and it's all on tape. And he's just like, wants to just go rape them all. I mean, even, and this is said with love. We love Mike Tyson. Like he's funny and great, but like you can see it. You're like, oh wow, he's grabbing women on the ass.
Literally insane. So all the women were like, he completely just grabbed us. So it's just he walked in and be like, you look good.
He's like, he's like groping
And then
everyone,
groping everyone, but
Yeah.
doing it with a smile on his face and just like he's in a store.
Let's talk about the most disturbing couple / sister-wife situation. Garrick is with his wife, Danielle. They have been together for like 15 years. They have 2 boys, 10 and 11. And then they met. They decided Jesus wanted him to have another wife. She agreed that's what Jesus wanted. They went online. They found 34-year-old Brazilian braces wearing, kind of throws me, but still really good body, long, luscious hair. Roberta from Brazil speaks no English. They fall in love online, and they decide throughout the season that she's going to be part of their family. he has sex with her in Cabo while she sits on the sand. Then they come back. They don't see her for 8 months because of COVID. They finally go back to Cabo so that he can impregnate her. He already divorced Danielle so that he can marry her and get her over here, since it's like a 90-day fiance meets sister wife situation. And she accepts it. She's praying that Jesus will release her from her jealousy cravings, but she does still get jealous.
Good luck.
And she brings her parents there, who are accepting of the fact that they want to bring in another wife. And hopefully while he bones her 3 to 4 times a day in the nicest room in the rental house, that she will in fact get pregnant. What did you guys think? This was one of your other assignments to watch, and I want to get your opinion.
Well, lucky for us, we watched this last time for you.
Okay.
So we've seen basically now the whole season of this. But one thing I think is weird is that there's like a dating app for women that want to be in plural marriages, which is where they found her, I thought.
I don't know if it's particularly for that, but they met her online somehow.
It was something like
if you're interested in plural.
Or you do it, and which really means I need a green card badly.
I think it's like, I want to be part of a family. She's nice. I don't care if I have to share him with her. Who cares? Let me come on. And I get to be on TV.
Yeah.
And I get an anchor baby out of it. I mean, come on.
Right.
Out of all the families on this show, this one, that particular, the wife, the original wife, she just radiates such sadness.
Oh my God.
Go to her face right
It's so hard to watch.
Yeah.
Oh.
So guys, Roberta's here, and we're gonna leave the happy couple to themselves for a while they try to get Roberta pregnant.
Babe, I gotta go get Roberta pregnant right now. I just think that it's something that I need to do. I think the Lord wants us to have a baby from my penis.
I know that you really miss her.
I do. I love her so much. I love our family. Hold on, let me do. These are weights. I don't know if you remember. I like to do this with weights.
Yeah, you have to work out while you talk.
I like to work out while I talk, so I can't really pay attention to you fully.
I'm just worried because if Roberta, God willing.
Roberta, I like to call her Berta. She has like a little spot on the back of her leg that I.
Well, I know you also like to call her tiny wife and me large wife.
Well, you're a little bigger. You could lose a little bit of weight. She's got a perfect BMI. And I think that's going to be good for our baby. And after I marry her fully.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
That'll be great when we're all together as a family. Don't you think so, when we're all together as a family? And I'm having sex with her?
Yeah. I'm just a little bit worried because with COVID and all the rules and stuff.
Jesus is going to save us from COVID.
But what if she gets pregnant on the Cabo trip and then is stuck in Brazil, and you have to go to Brazil with the baby, but then I'm stuck with everything at home, and she's still
what?
In Brazil.
What? All I can hear is, you know what I mean? All I hear is Roberta. Listen, don't worry about it. I'm not going to go to Brazil. You know what I mean? You're not going to go to Brazil. Because you're not even going to be around.
Why don't we just ask Roberta what you think? First of all, you have to do it on your iPhone.
All right.
Translation.
Hey, sister, how's your ovulation going?
Ovulation.
Hermana. Mucho.
She says that she wants to get
Gusto.
She says that she wants to get with husband. So you guys have fun.
Yes, so. 15 minutes, okay?
15 minutes? That's a lifetime. 2 weeks. That's why we do it 3 times a day. Right?
Oh,
Bert?
So that's where you guys were after lunch. That's great.
You know, when I'm
so depressing.
When I'm with Bert,
it's hard to watch.
My darling, my love, when I'm with Bert, I'm totally thinking about you and our family and all our kids, because that's the only reason why we're together, is to make children for the Lord.
I know Father. You said that this is what Jesus wants for our family.
It's what Jesus wants.
Us getting divorced and you sleeping with Roberta.
Jesus totally wants it. Jesus wants it so bad.
And yeah, it's a nice bathing suit you're wearing. That's a nice bathing suit you're wearing, Roberta. It's a
Hermana, gracias.
This girl is constantly, and all she's constantly saying too is like, I just when you love someone, you just want them to be happy, and she just constantly saying it. When you love someone, you're supposed to think of them and what they want. She's just so outside.
This is a better prediction than Armie Hammer.
Okay, what's your prediction?
My question is for you guys: do you think he going to leave her?
I have been trying to find out through sources. I've heard just people writing me. I heard they're not together anymore. I heard Danielle left him. Oh. I don't know if Bert is pregnant. I'm assuming there's going to be a reunion. There's probably some incentive for them to keep their mouths shut, so that so people will actually watch this thing, because we know what happened. Look at that face. Look at that face. Because and he's like, the dad of Danielle goes, I just hope that you can keep everybody happy, and he goes, Jesus wants this. So
and she'll still be on the show if she leaves him.
With the Snowdens, this is just the back of Dimitri Snowden's head, because I noticed in his room he had all these things, and I found out later that he was trying to sell all these show ideas. He has a million show. He wanted to do a polygamous Blackish show. He had all these great show ideas, and I was wondering if this poster was all of his his pitch ideas.
Wow.
He should get a show just for doing that. That's a lot of work.
Their final episode, which was the other night, is them getting married to Crystal, and we know that Crystalline from South Africa then filed a restraining order. It was not granted. She had to go in hiding somewhere, and she's now trying to either establish a place to live here or go back to South America. So we know that they're not together anymore.
Wow.
So I think that they really want to keep it on them. And what did you think about the farming couple? Did you watch anything with the farming couple? I told you to focus on them.
Is that
was the guy that talked like this?
Oh, that weird. I remember them from before.
Said, so what we like to do is we do the
gay one, the gay guy.
You think he's gay?
Yeah. Yes.
Why?
Yes. Why? He's like, I just want to find myself
another
wife.
No, that's the magician.
Oh, he's
not a magician, but he looks like a magician. You mean the magician guy?
Yeah, he's got like a goatee, and he's like, I need another wife because we need to. Yeah, I need at least 4 wives for my family.
He seems very effeminate, and
yes.
But the other guy who's just like, they're all three so boring. There's this other guy. They have 2 wives who went in knowing that they were going to be a polygamous family, and they wanted to get a 3rd wife. The 2 girls get along. They want to get a 3rd wife because they're like, then we have a friend when the other 2, or when sister is with the husband, then at least I have a friend. So they tried to find somebody, but she wasn't that cute. She wasn't as cute as the first 2 wives, and he wasn't into it. And they're like, what do you think? And he's like, I just think we need to pause. I just take a pause. It's with everything going on with COVID and whatnot. I don't know that the chemistry is right there. I don't know if she's exactly right for our family.
She's not pretty enough.
And they make these meals together, and it's so depressing. They're like, I made the green Jell-O mold. You're like, and the hot dogs are cooking, and the macaroni and cheese. And then they're like, what would you like to do for dinner tonight? I was thinking that Cajun chicken. Oh yeah. That would be great. It's just like,
oh my God,
no wonder they want another wife, because their life is so boring.
And the show that they need to have is from the other couple. I saw that they were interviewing a bisexual woman to be their wife or whatever.
The black couple,
right? And he was like, right. And then the guy was like, I don't know,
muscly guy, yeah.
Yes, and he's like, God just doesn't want women. God doesn't want the wives to have sex with each other. And I was like, God does want the wives to have sex with each other, and also,
and so do we. We need to see that.
In fact, that's the show. So I don't know all of this that's going on. The show is the wives getting together, and or a wife having multiple husbands. I don't know why they're not doing that. That should be on your board.
They did have a short-lived show like that
with multiple husbands.
Yes, but the husbands were not.
It couldn't have been.
The husbands were a little suspect too.
Yeah,
it might have been a little bit. My husbands are my gays.
Right, exactly. Right.
Holla queen. Yeah. Okay, we'll end on this story because they're going along. But this was so disturbing, you guys. Sinead O'Connor has a memoir out that I think will be very juicy, and she talks about her weird night with Prince. And I kind of like. You know what? I know I'm going to get some people like, how dare you? Because people are like such big fans of Prince.
Yeah.
But he was weird. And basically she said she goes over to his house after he insists that she come over. He wrote a song for her. So she was like, all right, we've never really hung out before. Goes to the mansion, a limo picks her up.
That sounded a little bit like 50 Shades of Grey.
Totally.
Yeah.
He sends for the car. She comes. Nobody's there. There's no party. It's this big mansion. Somebody like opens the door and is like, be quiet, be quiet. And she's sitting there by the bar, and then he comes out, and she describes him as having a full face of makeup, so much makeup,
like all of the makeup in England.
Didn't she say she said
funny
all
the way
fluffy cups made up like a made up to look like a dog,
and she said George, and she said more makeup
Boy
than
George.
Boy George.
And then he says, "What would you like to drink?" She goes, "Just something non-alcoholic." And he's like, "Then get it yourself." And he's like, gets all mad, slams a glass down, and then she's like, "Oh my God, I think I need to get out of here." And she'd been a victim of abuse before, so she was like, "Oh my God, let me. Where is the door?" And then this other guy comes in, and he starts treating him like shit and screaming at him. The guy's just like a broken human being working for him. And he goes, "Oh, by the way, that's my brother Dwayne." And she's like, "Dwayne, that's your brother. You're treating him horribly." And it just like reminded me of like this Twilight Zone where this famous Twilight Zone where this lady, a reporter comes to interview her, and he can't figure out her age, and then we realize she's in the Twilight Zone. She took somebody to stay young, and then this man is her butler, and he's super old, and it's like her first husband. Like she does something to stay young, and it's like, and she's treating the butler horrible, and he was like the love of her life like 50 years ago. The reporter's like, "What's going on?" I just feel like he is so. I've always thought he was weird. Remember that movie where he'd be like,
well, what movie are we talking about?
All the movies.
Oh yeah,
Purple Rain, and then Dark Cherry or Cherry Pop
Cherry
or whatever.
Moon, maybe. Or
yes,
I was going to say, as a huge Prince fan, I don't think anybody should give you any backlash because it's very clear in Purple Rain that he himself is also a victim of abuse.
Yeah, the dad
is
was horrible.
abusive. He makes Apollonia go and cleanse herself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. She gets completely naked, best boobs. She's so pretty, and he sits on his motorcycle while she's soaking wet, and he doesn't come in. And then when she goes to get on the motorcycle, he keeps scooting it forward so she can't get on.
Oh, that's right.
And the whole time he's abusive. He's abusive to Wendy and Lisa. He's completely abusive. I mean, he's completely like the biggest asshole like of all time. And it's clear in Purple Rain, and no one cares because look, and he's amazing. And you're just like, well, I mean, you don't know really why you're there. It's like you're hungry for the abuse or something. It's strange.
You know what happened was he was on a dating site many years ago, and someone said, "You got to be at least 6 feet tall." And he's like, "Fuck you!" And he put on his little heels, and he danced around, and then he started being mean to women. It turned out at the end of this article, which is in the book, is that they shared a manager, and he was kind of punishing Sinead and freaking her out and scaring her to scare the manager that like he had an issue with a manager that no longer worked for him, and then he worked for her. And then after the fact, she told the awful story, and the story goes on. Like, so get the book or read this article.
Well, the pillow. Let's do a pillow
God.
fight.
He goes, "Let's do a pillow fight." And she's like, "All right." And they started doing a pillow fight. She goes, "Clearly, he had like some weights in the
like
box."
Rocks in it. Like he was in prison. It's like rocks and socks. He's like beating her to death with a pillow.
Like, I still think about Dwayne to this day. Like, how is Dwayne? Like, but he had a couple wives, and like, he died of a drug overdose. Like
in an elevator, which I think
his
is
own house.
The weirdest thing, because he's the only person on earth who has a song about an elevator. Like, like Let's Go Crazy. It's like it's in an elevator, and then he dies in an elevator. I don't know. I think it's crazy.
He truly was brilliant, and also the fact when someone can write music, that's amazing. When they can write a bunch of songs for other people too, like they're geniuses. But yeah, he was weird, and he took his meanness out on her, and I don't think he was like out to rape her. I think he was out to terrify her and scare her.
He let her go,
and then she went back and told her manager, and the manager was really pissed, and then she realized, it was really just to hurt the manager, to fuck her up, make her scared, maybe make her, probably it affected her then not continuing to make music, because then she really kind of lost it shortly after.
Insane. She went insane, and maybe not because of him, but her whole thing, and then with SNL and the Pope picture, after that her whole career was ruined, and then she went completely in a spiral. I mean, I watched an interview with her on recently within the last year. She's converted to Islam. She wears a thing. She changed her name. She's like, she's been spending her whole life trying to not be her.
Right. Last thing I'm going to say is Kanye and Irina Shayk. I don't know how to say it.
Irina.
Oh, thank you. Irina. She is the beautiful model that is Bradley Cooper's baby mama or longtime fiance at one time. Anyway, they are seen together. They're photographed together. At one time, she was in one of his videos, so they have a bit of a history. What do we think, people?
I think she's a paid beard.
Okay.
Because she was with Bradley Cooper. He was only with models. All of these models, I mean, a lot of them when they're with, he's only been with models, you know, and not even in the Leo way.
Can I just say I'd love to be a paid beard?
I mean, honestly.
Could I be a paid beard?
And he lives with his mom, or his mom lives in his house.
And by the way, I don't like when people put a negative connotation to that as a mother of boys. Like, he's a mama's boy. And I mean, listen, if you're a boy mom, as they get older, the only connection you have with them is through making them food. Okay, so I do make a pretty hearty breakfast every day.
Oh,
and the
Heather,
other day,
that's
the
so
two
sweet.
boys were being mean to each other, and because Brandon was out of school and Drake still had a few days left, but he's graduating from high school, and Drake goes, I don't care that I have a few days left. He goes, you have 3 more years of living with Dad. And then Brandon goes, at least I have 3 more years of Mom's cooking.
Oh.
Was that not the cutest thing ever? So I'm like, no one's taking that away from me.
No.
Because I'm like, I will wait on those 2 giants for the rest of my life. And if my fucking daughter-in-law wants to give me some fucking shit about it, fuck off. I'm going to come over and I am going to make them
Make
food.
the hearty breakfast.
Make the hearty breakfast, bring them waters, bring them milk, whatever they want.
Now we know Peter's abusive like Prince's dad. You're going to be when doves cry. Brandon's in the room like listening to when doves cry.
No, Peter always says that that he'll go, hey, Brandon, how you doing, buddy? He's like, stop calling, but he's like, I love you. And he goes, God, there's all these people saying that they're like fucked up because their parents never said they loved him. And all we do is tell that you guys, like, we love him so much that now there's going to be a whole nother generation of kids that are like, can't fall in love because they're like, you gave me an unrealistic example.
Right.
You were too nice to me.
Yeah.
And now if I would have had some struggle, I would have been Prince instead.
Right. They're going to be living with you. Now, Bradley Cooper, it's not that. I just think if you're a gay guy and you don't really want to do it with a woman, the good old always excuses, well, my mom's upstairs, you know, or my mom's here. And he had his mom living there, wouldn't have any of these women ever living there. He'd date them for
next
years.
Door. There's a plenty of ways to be right with your mom and be a mama's boy and take care of her and whatever and not live with her in the house so you never have women over.
Well,
and now here she is with Kanye.
I just wonder, because Kim said on her show, he should have somebody that follows him around to all the different states, and whenever weird thing he wants to do, shouldn't say weird, but whatever he wants to do, this girl doesn't have a life and will be with him, and I think it'd be great. And then she wished him a happy birthday with a photo of them and 3 of the kids. And I said, I think that's all well and good, but if he really does fall in love with someone else and that woman really is around your kids, it takes a good a lot of women can do it, but it takes a certain woman and a certain stepmom to like actually not have there be a thing. So I think Kim is that person, because I think she just is happy not to be with him anymore. And at least this woman, if it is real, she is a mom. So
I just don't buy. He was with Amber Rose, who is so sexy and so beautiful and so much like he has a type. If nothing else, he at least has a body type. And Irina Shayk ain't it? Okay.
Complete opposite.
Like, give me a break with this.
Unless he always had the hots for Kendall Jenner, because that's what she looks like a little bit.
And I just don't think he did because he was with Amber Rose.
He always liked curvy and sexy and overly sexual. But then remember, he started to get mad when he became a super Christian. He didn't like that Kim was dressing so sexy, and he put her in the gray jumpsuits and the work suits. Yeah, and she was going to like be on the line and full like to a jail railroad or whatever. You guys, this was so fun. Thank you for coming back. Tell everybody about your shows.
We have a podcast. It's a political podcast, so
Don't listen.
No one wants to hear it.
You guys are not good at promoting it.
It's called Dumb Gay Politics. It's free on iTunes, everywhere you get your podcasts. We have a Patreon that is, cheap to subscribe. We don't talk politics. We don't talk juicy scoops. We only get that from Heather. We really just do
our own shit.
Just talk about
we make songs,
dumbest stuff.
being mad. Poetry, stuff like that.
Spoken word. Right.
I know people love it and love you guys, so I appreciate you always coming on.
Oh my God, our pledge.
We love you. We missed you guys.
Thanks.
We won't call the cops on Peter.
Okay. he did tell Brandon he loved him again today, so
like,
it's becoming a huge problem.
Stop being so loving, Peter. You're abusive with your love.
Thank you.
It's a good song.
Well, guys, I'm so excited. I'm coming on the road. You go to heathermcdonald.net for all my dates this fall, and I'm telling you, they are going really fast. Boston, Chicago are selling so fast, so please get your tickets. And go to Patreon, because this Friday I've got a special treat. I found the Erica Jane original interview, and I listened back to it, and it really is so entertaining, along with all the hot topics I talked to back then, and you'll see which of my predictions have come true since 5 years ago. Along with all the juiciest scoop, you go to heathermcdonald.net, click on Patreon, and join.